Welcome to the Off the Fritz podcast, honest conversations that explore life with intention.
Our podcast is a collection of honest stories and conversations with people who have learned and are continuing to learn to live with direction and intention, even when life gets crazy.
Our hope is that this podcast will inspire you and provide you the tools to start living with more intention and a sense of possibility and purpose. Hey everybody.
Hey.
Hey, this is episode 2 of our fancy special Off the Fritz Christmas editions that we decided to do. One of the reasons we decided to do these extra few podcasts was because we wanted an opportunity to talk about this World Vision kind of collaboration thing that we have going on. So we'll get to that at the end, so just remind us so we don't forget.
Yeah, super important.
We'll get to that at the end, but we just wanted to kind of get together and talk a little bit about Christmas, and in a few points we might or might not get to talking about it, but I mean, it's been really fun recording these little Christmas specials and just talking about Christmas, but not always the fun parts about Christmas, but like just Christmas. And it's like, it's a time, I mean, what is it? I mean, whatever, it's a holiday, but what it is, it's a time when we all like kind of get together and we make it important. So we kind of like, it's important because we make it important. And it's not just another day of the year because we kind of have chosen it not to be another day of the year, right? So, I mean, it's some of my fondest memories are surrounding Christmas, right? Like what, you are like a huge Christmas lover, right? Tell me about some traditions. And by me, of course, I mean them.
Christmas has always been like a really big part of my family. My dad is like Mr. Christmas, and he just put in special joy, special effort in making Christmas for I have 3 sisters, and making Christmas for us girls just really, really, really special. I think because he grew up in a family where Christmas was challenging, I could see how he took that experience and went from there to over here to really put an effort into making Christmas special. And so some of my fondest Christmas memories would be going to a Christmas Eve service, a candlelight service on Christmas Eve. There was one Christmas that I remember walking out of the service and the snow was just falling so heavily, and we actually had gotten in the van that night and headed off to Maine, where my mom's family was, to go have Christmas at the log cabin with my grandma and my grandpa. Just lots of tradition, very, very steeped in tradition, from making gingerbread houses to opening Christmas jammies by the fire, carols, and turkey dinner and presents and things that just, I looked forward to the season because I loved the predictability of it. I loved the warmth of it. I just knew that season felt so warm and wonderful and intimate with our little family and sometimes the extended family, but yeah, there wasn't a lot of extended family in those days that were brought into that, which was, interesting.
See, we both come from families that are like really deep-rooted tradition families that way. Like, I mean, I'm German, so we have our Christmas Eve thing. Like our Christmas Eve, the way it has been done, when it was at my grandpa's, like my mom and dad, when they were dating, started doing Christmas Eve, and they had both sets of parents together while they were dating. They weren't even married yet. They were teenagers, like 17 or something. And we did it, I mean, we still do it today. Now we've moved on from my grandpa's house because my grandpa's not with us anymore. But yeah, we still do the exact same, essentially, Christmas Eve with the same foods and the same and all that. Although this year it is going to change a little bit, and that's okay too, I guess, right? And it's funny how, even though we're like these deep-rooted traditions around Christmas in both of our families, it's like we've also created our own, and those are going to be deep-rooted traditions for our kids, right? And so it's funny because we started doing this big Christmas Day celebration thing now, and again, it's my parents and your parents and everybody, and it was, again, before we were even married, this started, right? The big family Christmas where we throw sheets of plywood on the table and just fill it with food and lots of music, lots of instruments, carols, my grandpa's old books he has printed out, old songbooks and stuff. But I think
your family really opened up and became extended family for my family in our dating days, because we didn't have any family that was close by at all. And so when we were dating, Kev's family, we joined in, and it was my first experience of like, a lot of hustle and bustle and many people at the table, and the table going really long and stretched and talking and just so much in that way.
And so I love those traditions, and it's like, and I love the fact that we're like, they serve us, you know, like we're not bound to them. They're like,
No.
they're just like, they're beautiful,
Yeah.
but it's like, but we're making our own, right? Like I love that when we got married, we started sleeping in front of the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
You know, and it was this quiet, kind of fun, romantic thing we did as a young couple. And now it's like, we do that with all our kids, and it's horrible because you have a kid like falling off the couch and landing on your head in the night, and it's like, and they love it, and I love it, right? And so it's become this weird tradition that it was never intended to be.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a cool thing too. So I guess the idea is if you don't have traditions, or if those traditions are going to be lost because of life circumstances and changing lives, like you can just make new ones, and like they're just as important, they're just as special, or they become rapidly so, right? And I think that's pretty cool too. So yeah, we had it hasn't been released yet, but we've had a really fun conversation with Landon about Christmas too. And Landon's a psychologist, and just discussing how Christmas isn't easy all the time, and it can actually be really quite hard. And I think some ways the loss of tradition is one of those things too. Like I know that can be a really, I can feel like there's almost mourning for that loss of tradition when circumstances change and people move on and pass on. And I think that's like, that's something worth acknowledging too. And then, but the end of one tradition is just an opportunity to begin another. So I think that's cool too, right?
Yeah. And I wonder how long, you know, all 6 of us sleeping by the Christmas tree, that's only going to last for so long too when our
You're
kids
right,
are...
because once they start having kids, it'll be like 10 of us and then 20 of us. So yeah, it's going to get it's going to get way bigger.
Yeah. Another tradition I really look forward to with our family is, as you know, Kevin mainly is the builder, and we just love to create together. And so we, in our dating days, would create gingerbread houses as a date. And this is not like go to the store and buy a kit. This was Kevin going, hey, Heath, if I, let's make a lighthouse, because you love lighthouses. Like my family history is in Maine on the East Coast. I have this thing for lighthouses. And so he's like, let's make a lighthouse. And I'm like how? And he sketches out and makes me a template out of graph paper, which I then baked and cut out and baked, and then we put the lighthouse together, and even we had a light in
glass.
it. We made glass of candy.
That was back when we had nothing to do.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. We should talk about that though. The idea of like how busy we are now, and how busy like Christmas can be.
Yeah. Well, the gingerbread houses were just me also wanting to share how excited
I'm sorry. Tell me about your gingerbread houses.
Well, I'm excited to make them with the kids. It's super fun.
It is very fun. They love it.
Yeah.
In fact, we had you got a text today. Somebody's like, "Hey, there's a ready-made gingerbread house at whatever this grocery store. Do you want it?" It's like, no, our kids are gonna want to build it. You know, they're gonna need to build it themselves.
But the season's busy this year, so we'll take it.
Yeah, maybe, but
Yeah.
yeah. So the idea of Christmas being busy, because Christmas is super stressful, and can be super stressful,
Especially for mothers.
especially for moms. Yeah.
There's so many details.
Yeah.
So much to take care of.
Right. So, I mean, I guess that's something we should speak to, because we touched on it a little bit with Landon. I mean, it can be whether it's relationships that you get like thrust into again, like being home with family, and maybe people don't see that often, or maybe it's like, you know, expectations that aren't being met, or maybe it's just the fact that it's like you were so stinking busy, right? In a time when really we were supposed to like be surrounded with community and be around people and really take the season in. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that can be a real challenge at Christmas, right? It's not fun for everybody, I guess. And sometimes I think that if you're not careful, well, for sure it's happened to us where elements of Christmas have passed by without us almost noticing, where we've been too busy to notice, right? So I think that it's really important that we do all the things we want to do. You know, we have that list of things that we'd like to do, but there has to be an understanding of like why we're doing those things. There's got to be a reason for those things, and we have to like make sure that reason is being served, I guess. And I guess give yourself like the permission to like stop, and the permission to like do less, or the permission to, I don't know, just to enjoy it and to just take a minute and soak it in rather than let it blow by with all the to-dos and everything else, right?
There's a lot of prep and a lot of build up to Christmas, you know, the shopping, the wrapping, the Christmas concerts, the events that happen, the dinners that you want to have with friends, maybe the skating and the sleigh rides and things like that. But I love all of that. It's where memories are made and where we get really intentional as a family. But then I also look forward to the rest that it does bring, because I feel once Christmas Eve hits, my heart is just longing for rest and for everything to slow down. And it does do that for us in our home, because we choose that.
We've chosen that, yeah.
And we've given ourselves the permission to, from Christmas Eve, usually for a good week, we try, if where we try and just tune out. It seems like this space where there's just not a lot of expectation to get up and get moving and to, head off to work and to, check email and to, like, hopefully by this time you've prepared and you've got enough food in the house for the week and those types of things. And it just feels like lingering in your pajamas and drinking a cup of coffee for 3 hours, building Lego sets with the kids.
The new stuff with the kids, yeah.
That
Going
sort
out,
of time. And
making the rink, flooding up and skating and playing hockey, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it looks like for us. I mean, it looked different for everybody, obviously.
Yeah. But I really look forward to that rhythm of rest. And I think if we are not careful in life, that time that we set aside can be so easily bombarded with everything else other than rest. And so we need to guard our time. And I know that, we help each other do that. And I think you need that, like, to express that need to people in our life. And I really want to really unplug a bit and take that time to breathe and to do the things that are most important and to focus there.
Yeah.
Life is too busy.
Well, and it's funny because we're talking about Christmas, and Christmas is like this actually really great example of this, where it's like everything gets kind of condensed. It's like it's busier than most times of the year. It's kind of more fun than most times of the year. It's like everything is like this extreme version of regular life, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, this applies to everything. Where it's like we have to understand, like, why are we doing this, right? And it's like and have a good reason for why you're doing what you're doing, and if that reason is not being served, then why are you doing it then, right? And so I think it's a matter of just being purposeful and, like, understanding it's like, this is what we're trying to accomplish right now. We want to give this to our kids, or we want to give this to ourselves, or we want to, recharge from a busy year. So make sure that the things that you are doing are, in fact, accomplishing those things for you. And you're not doing them out of a sense of obligation or tradition or a sense of this is how, our culture or our society celebrates Christmas. We buy lots of stuff and we do that. It's like, well, you can buy lots of stuff. That's fun, right? That might be what you want to do and that might serve that for you. But let's make sure that you're doing it because it's the right thing for you and your family. I think that's an important thing. And that's something you got to keep coming back to, like, not at the beginning of Christmas. It's like you keep coming back to that every day because it's a wild time of year, right?
Well, and I think Christmas for many cultures or across the world, there seems to be a semblance of a break in some ways. But why do we need to limit that to the Christmas season? I think that there is something that happens at Christmas, and that can happen. And it's excuse that there's principles of Christmas that I want to see applied all year round.
Right.
So let's take the idea of forced rhythms of rest. Let's look and extrapolate that to 2022. How am I going to put forced rhythms of rest into the microcosm of my day, whether that's mindfully starting my day with a cup of coffee and quiet or whatever that looks like for you, to weekly, how am I incorporating that to monthly and beyond? So I think of that, but I also think of how intentional relationships can be over Christmas, where we sometimes use Christmas as the reason to get together, but how life-giving and how our health and sense of well-being when we live in community can be so good for our health and for who we are, and to take that those principles and kind of like look at extending them and putting them into our year as a whole. Like, not just at Christmas should we be wanting to intentionally catch up with everybody or having the big family Christmas meal or things like that. Why not move that into all of our life?
For sure. And I would say that you're 100% right on that. not however, but as well as like it's really great to have like these monuments in life, right? Like these moments where it's like everybody can agree that this is like not universally, nothing's ever like that, but a whole bunch of us are going to agree. It's like, hey, we're all going to do this together. We're all going to treat each other like this. You know, it's like, you know, the Christmas spirit, blah blah blah, all that junk, right? But like, I mean, heck, what was it? I think in World War I, where they had like a ceasefire and like soldiers that were like killing each other, like met for the night over the trenches, and like decided like that's incredible.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that those like single, like as humans, we love that like marker, whether it's Christmas or like New Year's Eve or whatever it might be. We love that like common ground where we all meet together and be like, oh no, we're all, you know, experience this thing together, I guess.
Yeah.
That unifying thing. I think there's like huge value in that. But I guess that value is increased if that feeling or that the results of that moment in time can then be spread and maybe continue and perpetuate throughout the year. Where it's like, you know, you don't want to like be a jerk in traffic because it's Christmas. You know, it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't be a jerk in traffic, you know, for the rest of the year too. And maybe the world would be a better place, right? I mean, dumb example, but that's the idea. It's like we can take these ideas that we learn and we all, no, not we all, but a lot of us notice it, a lot of us feel it, a lot of us experience it in the Christmas season. It's like, well, let's all take that and use that as inspiration to kind of try to experience, make the choice to try to experience those types of things, whether it be community or generosity or whatever, and experience that like the rest of the year around. I mean, that's building a new culture of that, right? And I think that's maybe taking a moment and making it bigger and make it more valuable.
There's something about Christmas that, you know, just the carols in the air, the lights, the houses get a little brighter, the world, even though it gets a lot busier, there's this sense of generosity and kindness and wonder and just that childlike feeling of the season. And I love tapping into that and just watching our kids experience that. And those principles are principles to take, throughout the entire year.
See, kids and Christmas are fun. We had a blast before kids with Christmas. I mean, I had a blast as a kid. Like Christmas was almost better than summer vacation for me. It was, I don't know, depends when you ask me. But it was like, they were like neck and neck. You like bookended my years. We had summer vacation, we had Christmas. It was the greatest. Like I loved it.
What did you love most about it?
Everything. No, I love Christmas Eve. I have drinks that to this day, it's like mixing hot chocolate and eggnog the right way so that it doesn't change. You have cold on one side of your mouth and hot on the other. Like, I love everything about it, right? I got so many good memories. But then I became like a grown-up. And then like I met you, and like Christmas was so fun, especially at that time in our life. We're building our house and we have this little, cutting down this little Christmas tree and stuffing it in the corner of our room. And like, it was like this totally different experience of Christmas. And it was really fun and totally different. And then all of a sudden you start having kids, and all of a sudden it's like you get to become a kid again, but like, I don't know, it's maybe even more important because now you're giving it to somebody else, right? And so now we get to like give, I guess, the gift of Christmas to our kids, like our parents gave to us and their parents gave to them. And like, so that to me is like really inspiring during the season. That's a really fun part of it. It's just like, it's like, no, we're doing this because we love it. And we're doing this, but we're really doing it because they love it. And I know how much they love it because that was me. And that to me is very, very, very fun. That's very exciting. And I guess we're lucky enough that we have our own kids, right? And hey, is this a good segue into some World Vision stuff?
Yeah, why not?
Like, might as well, hey? So, I mean, I guess, yeah, look at that. So, yeah, I guess we're lucky enough to have our own kids, and, like, we get to be generous to them in our time and in our resources and just, in the ways that a parent loves a child, right? But the cool thing, so, okay, I'm going to tell a story. It's a story we've been telling a little bit on social media lately, but...
Generosity is something that's really important to Kev and I, and we try to live our life out of a sense of generosity, and not only living it for ourselves, but how we can impact the world around us. And so as a couple, we have a number of sponsor kids that we support through different organizations just to make the impact of, to make another child's life better. And so we have our kids, and then we have our sponsor kids. And so Hudson a few months ago.
No, yeah, even more. Yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
Hudson. Last
Yeah.
little bit here.
Yeah, he found the Christmas gift catalog.
Yeah, for like farm animals and like chicks and seeds and all that. And Hudson loves farm animals.
Yep.
He's kind of the reason for our hobby farm. And so he's like, what is this? And we're eating supper and he brings us over and we're like, get to the table, Hudson. And he's like, no, what is this? And he brings this thing over and it turned into like the greatest little meal where we got to talk about what this is. And and this is the World Vision catalog where you're able to buy goats or chickens or seeds or whatever. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Or many other things.
Many
like
other things,
sports
right?
equipment and clean
Yeah.
water and
But our
like
kids
clothing
fixated
and-
on the farm animals because that's what hit home to them, right? And so they are looking at this and they're like, what do you mean this is like something that you can give like a goat to a kid on the other side of the world? And it was funny because those are good teaching moments for kids, right?
Yeah. Well, Hudson immediately they were asking, can we do this? Can we do this? And we just let the kids lead the conversation.
Yeah.
After we explained to them what the book was about and the opportunity, they automatically asked, can we do this as a family? Can we give? And
then we drop the hammer on them. Where it's like, if you want to give something, it's like, but that might mean that that's something that you won't get this Christmas. And it didn't dissuade them.
No,
which
yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they
We
had
wanted to encourage them that in order for our family to be generous and give more, that may mean that
There's less for them.
And that didn't dissuade them. And we wanted each one of them to choose something out of the catalog that they felt would be the most kind of lasting for the kids. And it was really cute because Hudson automatically chose a goat. Oh, Mom, I just want to give a kid a goat so that they can hug a goat too. It was so sweet. And what was so neat was also being able to talk to Hudson about more than just giving. For him, it was giving a pet, giving a connection,
which was super important for him.
Giving a friend,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But then we were able to talk to Hudson about, oh, Hudson, that's such a good choice to do a goat. Do you know that what that also does? That's not only a gift for that child, it's a gift for their family and their community, and a source of
like potential milk or revenue and fertilizer and all these things. And we got to go over that with them, which they understand because they kind of get a little bit of the whole farm thing, right?
Yeah.
But it was funny because I don't know, man, it was like a couple of days before that we were kind of lamenting the fact that this year we didn't kind of have with Fritz Tiny Homes, that we didn't really have like a Christmas kind of thing.
Well,
what do you call
because
that?
for those of you that don't know, last Christmas was so special for us. It was we launched Fritz Tiny Homes, and then Christmas hit, and we had a finished tiny house, and we had the opportunity to take our first tiny house into Spruce Grove and partner with some other small businesses in Spruce Grove and do a big Christmas give back. And so we put it out to our local community and said, come for a tour of our tiny home and please bring a toy for a toy drive to support a very local initiative to give toys to kids that were in need. And we did this for we did it for 2 days in Spruce Grove and we were blown away by the generosity.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. It's one of my fondest Christmas memories from last year was just to be participating in something of such impact and generosity. And so heading into 2021, I said to Kev, man, I still have memories of that generosity last year. And I was just kind of feeling like, something felt missing for Christmas this year. And that's where then this opportunity.
2 days later,
Hudson finds the catalog, and here we are going,
there's an obvious fit, right?
Maybe we could, talking to the kids, maybe we could encourage other families and other people to do this the same, and why not through Fritz Tiny Homes, now that we have such a global audience and a global community, really make a difference on a bigger scale, and really to show the kids that yes, you can make a difference in the life of one kid. But then as we encourage others, maybe that can then ripple out to then multiple communities, us being able to maybe inspire change.
And the thing is it's funny because I'm like a super reasonable, realistic guy. So sometimes the idea of these big global problems are they're kind of out of reach, I guess. It's you can't fix a broken world, right? Yeah. And so how we're trying to explain that to kids, and at the end of the day, the kids don't care. They just want to help a kid. And that to me was really cool. So that's kind of like what we want to bring to the table here with this whole thing. The thing we keep saying is just one more child. Just add one more child to your Christmas list. Because you don't have to fix the world, but you can fix like the Christmas or maybe the year or maybe the life of one kid by changing their situation a little bit, by just giving something to them that they would never have the opportunity of getting. And and so our kids, they understood that.
Yeah.
Like big time, right? And so we figured, hey, if our 6, 7, 8-year-olds got it, maybe like everybody else can too, right? So yeah, whatever we just keep saying is like, just add one more kid to your Christmas list this year. And just, you don't gotta fix the world, but you can help one kid, right? So,
So yeah, that's going to be. I'm excited to see how this rolls out. It's going to be a fun part of our family's Christmas. Is giving back, in a global way in that sense, and doing the other things that are very full, bustly, Fritz Tiny Good Grief, Fritz Tiny Homes. No,
Fritz Big Christmas.
Fritz Big Christmas.
Yeah.
Gingerbread houses and sleeping by the tree and skating with the lights and having. Both this year, we're having my family, full family over, and Kev's full family over. So there's going to be a lot of us around the table at Christmas this year. It's going to be very, very, very special. Full and loud and full. And
And we will find our rest in amongst that because we will choose it. And we'll be filled by the big stuff, and we will be filled by the quiet stuff.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I know that Christmas is not easy for everybody. In fact, it's probably not easy for anybody if we're really getting down to it. But it's worth it, and whether it's Christmas or whether it's any other day of the year, it's worth it to, I guess, pursue things that are special or things that are valuable. So
nothing comes without work, and I feel like Christmas is one of those things that for many people we need to hold two things in our hands. We need to hold the joy of the season, the things of the season that we absolutely love, whatever that is for you. That you love, but also sometimes in that same hand, you also need to hold loss or the stress or the busyness in order to get to that place. And so I think it's one of those seasons where we need to maybe recognize the joy and what it takes to be intentional and not to expect that it's just joy-filled moments. Like joy-filled moments don't just come, or in the midst of joy-filled moments, you also have crying kids or traffic problems or a really, really tight budget or just the stresses of getting preparation and getting to that place. I guess I'm really coming to this place in life where I'm trying to navigate and really be understanding that obviously life is not perfect.
Be okay with imperfection.
Be okay with imperfection and let it go and just be in that space where things can be exactly like joyful and what I'm hoping for and meaningful in the midst of messy and maybe not expecting that it's only one thing. And so let's hold the season for what it is. Let's intentionally seek out all the things that you want. Only you can choose it. Only you can choose to invest intentionally into your community and into your family, but also recognize that that's going to come with some mess, and that's okay.
It comes at a cost.
It comes at a cost.
And it's worth it.
Yeah. So anyways, we wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Absolutely.
And hope that you find the best of the season for whatever that looks like in your little world. And
Yep. We're excited for our little Christmas season. Hope that you guys are excited for yours as well. Merry Christmas.